made their blood freeze. I was folding again. 6. I was going for 6. Is that even possible? He only has 4 hours. Someone checked the clock and realized. Only 2 hours had passed. There was still time. There was actually still time. The atmosphere shifted completely. Everyone was suppressing some explosive emotion, holding it in, waiting for the outcome. If I succeeded, it would erupt. Even the vice president was staring without blinking. I grabbed the metal and started bending. Every vein in my arms popped out like cables. My face turned red from the sheer effort. This thing was dense, like trying to fold a steel beam with your bare hands. People's jaws were on the floor. This was a kid who'd been at the academy for barely a month, bending metal that seasoned masters couldn't bend. The word, young, didn't feel appropriate anymore. 10 full minutes of straining, veins bulging, muscles screaming, and the metal bent. I folded it, then hammered it flat with a fluid motion that looked like I'd done it 1,000 times before. 6th refinement. Complete. The metal cooled. I set down my hammer. Dead silence. Absolute dead silence. Even the most bitter, most critical person in that room couldn't say a single word. What they just watched wasn't normal. It wasn't even exceptional. It was something they'd never seen before and might never see again. Sophia looked like her soul had left her body. She'd brought me here thinking I was a promising beginner. Instead, she'd just watched me shatter the guild president's all-time record. I could practically see the future version of her bragging to her friends. You know Master Klangassa? Yeah, I'm the one who brought him to the blacksmith guild. You're welcome. I didn't waste time celebrating. The metal went back into the furnace. Still got a sword to finish. The heating took forever this time. Longer than all the previous heats combined. But I wasn't worried. The crowd was buzzing with excitement while I just stood there looking like I was waiting for toast to pop. Nobody in this room knew this was my first time ever doing refinement folds. And honestly, let's keep it that way. My stats were carrying me hard right now. High forging talent for technique. Insane strength for the physical demands. Strong spirit attribute to keep my focus sharp after hours of hammering. Turns out forging is heavily tied to mental endurance too. Every great forge master has a powerful spirit stat. Good thing mine was solid. 45 minutes of heating. Thank God for black gold charcoal, because normal fuel would have taken even longer. But I didn't pull it out yet. I kept heating. 1 hour total. Why? Because I knew with absolute certainty, this next step had to succeed on the first try. There was no time for do-overs. The vice president watched me wait with this satisfied expression. He could tell I wasn't rushing. A steady hand at the critical moment. That's how he knew I was going to nail it. I pulled the blank out. Started shaping. The extra heating time paid off. The metal was more workable than I expected. I finished the blade shape before the temperature dropped, and everything after that flowed like water. Then came the quench. I took a deep breath. Normal water wasn't going to cut it this time. This weapon was far beyond standard fine-grade quality. A basic water quench would probably fail and destroy everything I'd just built. I pulled out a bottle of forging liquid. Cheap stuff. Only about 10 points, and poured it into the water. The whole basin turned blue. The blade went in. The second metal touched liquid. Blue electricity crackled across the surface. Steam hissed and erupted. The sword in my hand exploded with a flash of lightning that made everyone in the room flinch. 6 refinements. Forging complete. 1 heartbeat of absolute silence. Then the room detonated. Screaming. Cheering. People losing their minds. It sounded like a concert hall, not a blacksmith guild. Some guys got so excited they tried to rush me for a hug, but the vice president threw up a barrier to keep them back. I looked over at the receptionist who'd been laughing at me 20 minutes ago. So, did I pass? She opened her mouth to say yes, then glanced nervously at the vice president. Right. Gotta follow protocol when the boss is watching. There's one more step, a strength test. We need to verify the weapon's quality. May I? I handed her the sword. The moment she gripped it, her eyes went wide. The handle fit her palm like it was custom-made. The blade was 1.3 meters long, lightweight, blue-white in color with faint lightning patterns running along the surface. It looked like a weapon from a fairy tale. She walked over to a large testing stone, dense but not impossibly hard, standard for certification. She took a breath, raised the sword, and swung. The stone split clean in two. Both halves toppled over in opposite directions. She stood there frozen. It felt like cutting tofu. Zero resistance. The cross-section was perfectly smooth. The passing standard was Hit the stone 10 times, create a 30-centimeter cut, and keep the blade undamaged. She'd cut the entire stone in half, in one swing. This wasn't the sword's limit. This was the test's limit. She handed the blade back to me looking like someone had just taken away her favorite toy. I could see it in her eyes. She'd fallen in love with this sword the instant she held it. She probably wanted to offer me a fortune for it. Honestly, I was planning to sell it. But with everyone being this emotional and celebratory, pulling out a price tag right now felt like proposing a business deal at a wedding. Bad timing. You were amazing, she said. I kind of idolize you now. Then the vice president walked over. Young man, would you come with me? I looked at his chest. A marquee badge. That's 2 ranks above Viscount. Who exactly was this guy? Of course, it would be my honor. He led me through the guild to a private room. The sign on the door read, Vice President's Office. A simple certification exam dragged out the second-in-command of the entire blacksmith guild. Not bad for a Tuesday. He dropped into his chair and grinned. Sit wherever you want. Make yourself at home. I sat down across from him immediately. He raised an eyebrow. No hesitation, no nervousness. Good. How old are you? 16, Mr. Vice President. The vice president's eyebrow twitched when I confirmed my age. 16. Same age bracket as the guild president when he took his certification exam. And that guy came from a blacksmith family, trained since birth. Me? I've been forging for like a week? Kid, you're even more impressive than I imagined. For a talent like yours, I want to give you a reward. Pick one of these 3 items. Consider it a welcome gift. Once this gets reported to the guild president, there'll be even more rewards coming. He pulled out 3 items, and my eyeballs nearly fell out of my skull. A forging furnace, a forging hammer, and a special bottle containing a living, pulsing flame. Even at a glance, I could tell none of these were ordinary items. Let me introduce them. This furnace is called the Star-Plucking Furnace, glorious grade equipment. It can withstand extreme temperatures and harness the power of starlight to help you smelt, or massively boosting efficiency and success rates. Starlight-powered furnace. Okay, this hammer is the Sky Shaker Hammer, also glorious grade. Top-tier feel, plus 3 different premium enchantment effects for forging. A triple enchanted, glorious hammer. Sure. And this flame, you've probably guessed, is a transcendent flame. Though I should mention, it ranks near the bottom among transcendent flames. 3 absolutely insane items. Pick one. This was clearly a test. The vice president wanted to see what kind of person I was. Greedy? Short-sighted? Strategic? My eyes lingered on the transcendent flame for a moment. The vice president's lips curled slightly, watching me. But something in my gut told me, if you pick this flame, you'll regret it. It's ranked at the bottom. Its element doesn't even match mine. And the blacksmith tournament next month awards transcendent flames to the top 3. I could just win one there. So between the furnace and the hammer, not even close. I could feel it. The star-plucking furnace was calling to me. I'll take the furnace. The vice president's eyes lit up with genuine approval. That was the right answer. During normal hours, the star-plucking furnace operates at glorious grade. But on a clear, star-filled night, its performance skyrockets to legendary grade levels. Sometimes even better than lower-quality legendary equipment. I just picked the sleeper OP option without even knowing the full specs. My instincts are scary sometimes. Smart choice, clan. He handed me the furnace. I bowed my head slightly. Thank you, Vice President. Huh? Drop the formality. Name's Gugong Yuelo. Just call me Uncle Gugong. Oh, we're doing the uncle thing now? This marquee rank powerhouse wanted to be my uncle? Someone this high up in King's Academy didn't get there by being weak or stupid. The guild president himself was only a marquis. And this man was basically adopting me after watching one exam. Thank you, Uncle Gugong. That's more like it. And listen, if anyone gives you trouble, drop my name. I'll handle it personally. He was not joking. A marquis backing me up? That's like having a nuclear deterrent in my pocket. I'll definitely come running if I need help, Uncle Gugong. Good kid. Now go get your badge. Oh, and take this. He held out a spatial ring. A storage ring. The thing I'd been wanting ever since I saw Sophia pull a hammer out of thin air. It holds about 5 cubic meters. Another welcome gift. Use it to store the furnace. And don't go showing this off to people. 5 cubic meters of pocket dimension. I took everything without hesitation. I'm still growing. This is not the time to play humble. Every advantage counts. But every gift gets recorded in my mental ledger. One day I'll pay all of this back 100 times over. I headed back to the main hall. The receptionist, Cola, had my intermediate blacksmith badge ready. Here's your badge, clan. And I already signed you up for the blacksmith tournament. Thanks, appreciate it. So, about that sword you forged today, yeah? Can I buy it? I really love it. I'll pay top price. 3,000 points. How about it? 3,000. A six-fold refined fine weapon is better than some magic-grade weapons, sure, but the market price would cap at maybe 1,500. She was offering double that. This girl was serious, which also made me wonder, what kind of receptionist casually throws around 3,000 points? She had to have some serious backing. No front desk worker is that loaded. Cola was getting nervous watching me think. Turns out 3,000 points was several months of her allowance. She couldn't go higher. And yeah, Cola was not a regular receptionist. She was the guild president's little sister, working the front desk because she had nothing better to do, safely protected by her big brother. Classic rich kid coasting through King's Academy until her minimum 10 years were up so she could leave. Deal. I'll sell it. Really? Thank you. I'm Cola. You can call me Cola or Big Sister Cola. Sure thing, Cola. She noticed I didn't add the Big Sister part. But geniuses don't call people Big Sister that easily, so she let it slide. 3,000 points hit my badge. The sword changed hands. She looked at it like she'd just been handed a newborn baby. What's this sword's name? Never named it. It's yours now. You pick. Her face practically glowed. Naming rights too? Christmas came early for this girl. By the way, does the Blacksmith Guild sell forging equipment and materials? Of course we do. We're the Blacksmith Guild, and members get discounts. Your intermediate rank, so everything is 5% off. You can also sell your weapons through us. Auctions take a 2% fee, direct sales take 1%, not bad at all. Plus, you get monthly resource support. Intermediate blacksmiths receive 30 pounds of black gold charcoal, 5 pounds of iron ore, and 5 pounds of attribute, or your choice of element. Let me take you to pick those up first, then we'll go shopping. Free monthly resources on top of discounts? Being in this guild was already paying for itself. She led me to a warehouse. Not a store, not a display room. The actual warehouse where unsold inventory was kept. Just pick whatever you want from here. Prices are already marked. Hold on. You're a front desk worker and you're letting me browse the warehouse directly? Are we sure you're just a receptionist? Because this feels like VIP treatment that comes with having a guild president for a brother. What's wrong? Pick something already, right? Picking now, I went straight to the forging hammers. My current one was good, but with 3,000 fresh points burning a hole in my pocket, it was upgrade time. I only looked at hammers priced above 1,000. My eyes scanned across one after another until they locked onto a beast priced at 2,500 points. The diamond hammer. 2 enchantments. First, power. Strikes hit with double your actual force. Absolutely critical for working high-grade ores. Second, precision. The same effect as my current hammer. Apparently, precision is the bread and butter enchantment for forging hammers. I picked it up. Heavy. Way heavier than my old one. But the moment I gripped it, energy surged through my whole body. I could already picture myself going absolutely berserk with this thing at a furnace. This hammer. And these ores too. Cola did the math. With your 5% discount, that comes to 2,890 points. I'll round it down to 2,800. She just casually dropped 90 points off the price. Girl, if you keep rounding like that, I'm never shopping anywhere else. After paying, I headed for the exit. Sophia was still waiting by the door. If she hadn't bumped into me yesterday, I wouldn't have found this guild this early. I owed her one. Thanks for today, Sophia. Don't thank me. You earned everything in there yourself. Heading home. Not going to try out your new reward? Tomorrow. I've still got training to do today. Wait. How do you know I got a reward? You performed like that, and the vice president personally escorted you to his office. Obviously, he gave you something. Uncle Gugong is generous like that. Fair point. Well, I'm heading back. Wait. Can I walk you home? I want to know where you live so I can find you later. Sure. We just met today, but my impression of Sophia was positive so far. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her than a random coincidence. Our first meeting was straight out of a romance manga. Pretty girl literally crashes into the protagonist on the street. She had the face of a dream girlfriend. Everything was a little too perfect. I was more willing to bet she had some kind of agenda. People don't just stumble into your life this conveniently. What I couldn't see was Sophia's inner thoughts. She was thrilled I agreed. Apparently I was her mission target. Someone important had personally assigned her to get close to me. She needed to complete this task properly. Interesting. Very interesting. We arrived at my front door. I knocked. Milia opened up instantly. Master, you're back. Then her eyes drifted to Sophia standing next to me. Her expression froze. Milia's first reaction to Sophia was pure shock at how beautiful she was. Then I could see something more complicated cross her face, like she was trying to figure out if this gorgeous girl and I were together. This is where I live. Okay, well, I'll head back then. Sophia turned and walked away, but her steps were painfully slow. She was clearly waiting for me to call her back. I didn't. I had training to do. I hadn't done my basic exercises yet today, and the clock was ticking. Training is like rowing against the current. The moment you stop, you drift backward. I heard Sophia's footsteps stop. Then I closed the door. I didn't even look back. I stripped off my shirt, grabbed my practice iron sword, and got to work immediately. Somewhere outside, Sophia was probably staring at my closed door thinking, "Are you serious right now?" She'd basically handed me every possible hint, and I just shut the door in her face. She probably thought I was playing hard to get. Nope. I was literally just training. Milia watched me practice with a complicated expression. I could tell something was bothering her, but she didn't say anything. Honestly, even if I married 10 wives in the future, I think Milia would be fine with it, as long as she could stay by my side. Her biggest fear wasn't competition. It was being left behind. These past weeks had been the happiest time of her life since coming to King's Academy. She didn't want it to end. Congratulations. Lightning Attribute Talent 1. My eyes lit up. That brought my lightning talent to 8. My luck was on fire lately. Another lightning point meant the thunder attraction technique would level up even faster now. Milia, I'm hungry. Right away, master. She heated up the food she'd already prepared. I ate, bathed, and crashed for the night. Standard routine. Next morning, basic training as always. But halfway through, someone knocked on the door. Milia went to answer and found another beautiful girl standing there. Except this one was completely different from Sophia. Wheat-colored skin, revealing clothes, lean athletic muscle, and a wild energy that screamed, "I could probably kill you, but I'd look amazing doing it." It was Cola. She took one look at Milia, reached over and pinched her cheeks, and grinned. "You're the one taking care of Clan? So cute. Let me squish. Is Clan home? Tell him Cola's here." "Yes, Miss Cola." Milia wasn't even mad. She actually thought Cola was nice, the kind of person who treats everyone the same regardless of status. She came over to me nervously. I put down my training sword and wiped the sweat off my face. "What is it?" "A Miss Cola is here to see you, master." I threw on a shirt and went to the door. Cola was standing outside, and despite her loud, easygoing personality, she'd stayed politely at the entrance without coming in. Surprisingly well-mannered. She looked at my sweat-soaked hair. "Already forging this early?" "No, I was training." "Huh? Did I interrupt?" "It's fine. What's up?" "The guild president wants to meet you tonight." "You free?" "Absolutely. Tell him I'll be there on time." "Cool. Good luck with training." She bounced off, and I went back inside. The guild president wanted to see me. Was I nervous? Not even a little. I've already stood face to face with the Pope. After that, nobody in this academy could make my heart skip a beat. What I didn't know was that news about my sixfold refinement had already spread across the entire church. People were talking about it everywhere. Not just the Blacksmith Guild, other guilds were discussing it too. Over at the Potion Masters Association, their president had called an emergency meeting with his senior members. I'm sure everyone has heard about what happened at the Blacksmith Guild yesterday. A 16-year-old who performed 6 refinements on a fine-grade weapon. Thoughts? The room exchanged uneasy glances. They'd done their research overnight and understood exactly what 6 refinements at age 16 meant. It was something the Blacksmith Guild's legendary president couldn't even do at the same age. And that man was terrifying enough. In just 10 years, he'd taken the Blacksmith Guild from a nobody organization to a serious rival to the Potion Masters Association. He'd earned a marquee title in record time. A genuine legend. Now that same guild had produced someone with even more talent. The Potion Masters Association had held the title of #1 guild for years. But now they could feel the ground shaking beneath their feet. If this kept up, the Blacksmith Guild wouldn't just be catching up, it would blow right past them. Meanwhile, Over at the Potion Masters Association, my little forging exam was apparently causing a full-blown crisis. Their president had gathered all the senior members for an emergency meeting. The problem? The Blacksmith Guild was growing too fast, and now they had a 16-year-old genius who outperformed even the Blacksmith Guild president at the same age. The Potion Masters had been sitting comfortably at the #1 guild spot for years, and now they could feel the throne wobbling. Their vice president, clearly the only person in the room with a functioning brain, stood up and said, "We need to lower the requirements for becoming a potion master. Make it more accessible. Attract more young talent. That's how we survive." The room exploded with outrage. Lower standards? If we flood the market with mediocre potion masters, our prestige is finished. There'll be poisoners everywhere. Counterfeit drugs. Chaos. The vice president is too young and naive to understand. One by one, every single person shot the idea down. But the vice president could see what they couldn't. The potion industry was already declining. Young people were choosing other careers because the barrier to entry was ridiculously high. How many geniuses had they lost because of that? He looked around the room. Nothing but hostile stares. These people only cared about protecting their own positions. They couldn't see past their own wallets to the bigger picture. The vice president made a quiet decision. Maybe it was time to leave this guild and forge his own path. The president watched all of this in silence. Deep down, he suspected the vice president might be right. But he wasn't ready to admit things were that bad yet. For now, maintaining the status quo would have to do. My forging exam wasn't just shaking up the potion masters either. Every guild that was already weaker than the Blacksmith Guild felt the pressure increase. The blacksmiths were pulling further ahead, and everyone else was falling further behind. Not that I knew any of this, and even if I did, wouldn't change anything. I'm not delusional enough to think one 16-year-old can reshape entire industries. I'm talented, sure, but talent isn't mastery. Not yet. After morning training, I headed to the Blacksmith Guild for the afternoon. Yeah, the meeting with the president wasn't until evening, but I had nothing else to do and I was planning to forge anyway. Cola saw me walk in and blinked. "Wasn't the meeting tonight? Why are you here already?" "I was going to forge this afternoon anyway. By the time I'm done, it should be about time to meet the president." "Oh, sure? Let me set you up with a nice forging room. Free of charge. Can't argue with free." She led me to her personal forging room. Nice space, good equipment. "Mind if I watch?" I shrugged. I didn't have any secret techniques to hide. Everything I'd accomplished so far was pure talent and brute force. Nothing worth keeping secret. I pulled the star-plucking furnace out of my storage ring and set it up. Tossed in some black gold charcoal. Honestly, the charcoal that used to feel like premium fuel now seemed almost embarrassing next to this furnace. The star-plucking furnace had probably never eaten anything this low-grade in its entire existence. Cola's eyes went wide when she recognized the furnace. She knew exactly whose it used to be. The vice president had given me something this valuable? I walked over and opened the window. Even during daytime, starlight energy exists, it's just faint. The moment sunlight touched the furnace's surface, a soft blue glow appeared across its body. Then I tossed in the ore. Cola froze. What I'd just thrown in was a thunder roar stone. 80 points per piece. This was the kind of ore used to craft magic-grade weapons. She sucked in a breath. "You're going for magic grade?" I didn't answer. Just watched the furnace heat up. With the star-plucking furnace boosting my success rate and the diamond hammer doubling my striking force. Yeah, it was time to level up. I stared at the star-plucking furnace and tossed in some high-quality earth powder to stabilize the thunder roar stone. Under the furnace's heat, the ore reached forging temperature in just 5 minutes. With basic black gold charcoal as fuel, this furnace was absolutely ridiculous. I waited a few more seconds until the ore hit its optimal temperature, then pulled it out and started hammering. The diamond hammer hit different. Literally. The first swing came out way too strong. The doubled force caught me off guard. But it was still within manageable range. I started adjusting on the fly. By the 6th swing, I'd found the perfect rhythm. After that, it was smooth sailing. Cola was watching from the side, quietly impressed. Yeah, adapting to a new hammer mid-forge in 6 swings isn't normal. I know. 1 ore processed. Then I pulled out 3 more regular ores and processed those 2. For total. Because magic-grade weapons need at least 4 ores, 1 high-quality attribute or plus 3 supporting ones. and at minimum 2 refinement folds after fusion. The fusion step went shockingly fast. The star-plucking furnace was boosting everything: speed, heat distribution, quality. I'd known it was good, but this good? At this rate, I could probably finish 2 magic-grade weapons this afternoon. First refinement fold. The diamond hammer rang out with that clean, rhythmic sound as the 4 ores started merging together at a speed that surprised even me and Cola. The hammer's power enchantment was doing serious work on top of my own strength. But I wasn't satisfied with the pace. So I activated lightning body. Faint electricity crackled across my skin. All my stats surged. Thanks to my recent lightning talent increase, my control over lightning body had improved. Better magic distribution, bigger stat boost, longer duration. Every single point added to my lightning talent was basically an epic level upgrade to my entire combat and crafting ability. Cola's expression turned serious. She was starting to realize my technique wasn't far behind hers anymore. First fold done faster than expected. I tossed the blank back into the furnace. Even though it hadn't fully cooled yet, I didn't want to keep working it at a lower temperature. When making higher-grade weapons, each refinement fold should ideally be completed in one continuous go, letting the metal cool mid-fold affects the final product. A small detail I'd picked up from the forging instructors. Cola nodded approvingly when she saw this. And somewhere nearby, hidden so well that neither of us noticed, the guild president was also watching and nodding. The reheat only took a minute longer than the first time. This furnace was absolutely broken for its tier. A glorious grade furnace heating small ores like these was like using a cannon to swat a fly. I pulled the blank out and started the second fold. The difficulty had jumped hard. The hardness was already close to what I'd experienced at 5 folds yesterday, with just 2 ores. 4 ores fused together made for an incredibly dense blank. But my equipment had upgraded too, and I had lightning body running. No hesitation. I hammered through it in half the time it took me yesterday. The second fold was done. I looked at the blank, hesitated for exactly 1 second. Then I went for a third fold. I knew the risk. This was going to be way harder than anything I'd done before, harder than 6 folds on a fine weapon. There was a real chance of failure. But so what? Every success is built on a pile of failures. I'd never failed a forge before, but I wasn't afraid of failure. If it happens, I start over. Simple as that. And I wasn't about to let it happen easily. The blank barely moved when I started bending it. My face turned red from the effort. The density was beyond what my base strength could handle. So I cranked lightning body to maximum. Magic consumption nearly doubled. But my stats surged again. 30 minutes. 70% of my magic reserves burned through. Arms shaking, veins popping, every muscle fiber screaming. But the blank folded. Third refinement on a magic-grade weapon. Done. The blank had cooled down, so back into the furnace it went. This forge wasn't going to be perfect. I knew that. First time making magic-grade gear, some imperfections were expected. The third refinement fold was brutal. The metal was so dense now that every hammer strike sent a jolt of numbness up my arm. My speed dropped. My efficiency tanked. I had to reheat the blank multiple times because it kept cooling before I could finish working it. And here's the thing nobody tells you about being a blacksmith. It's not just about skill. It's about raw strength. The higher the weapon grade, the more insane the force required. I was struggling at magic grade. What about hero grade? Glorious grade? Legendary? Those weapons couldn't even be forged by human strength alone. You'd need every auxiliary tool in existence just to keep up. So what do you do when your strength isn't enough? You grind. You heat it up, hammer a little, heat it again, hammer a little more. Over and over and over. No shortcuts. No tricks. Just pure, painful, time-consuming grinding. Welcome to the Forge, clan. Doesn't matter if you're a genius or a grandmaster. When the metal is harder than your muscles, you shut up and grind. I could see Cola and someone else in the corner both wearing matching evil grins. They knew this feeling. Every blacksmith does. 3 hours. That's how long the third fold took. My right hand was throbbing. Then I had to shape the blade, which was another endless marathon of heating and hammering, millimeter by millimeter. I glanced outside. The sun was going down. The meeting with the guild president was supposed to be tonight. Was I going to have to stop mid-forge? That thought made my stomach drop. But then I noticed a young man standing in the corner of the room. I had no idea when he'd gotten there. Completely invisible until I looked directly at him. And he felt dangerous. This was not a normal person. Was this the guild president? Why did you stop forging? He asked casually. Cola spun around and nearly jumped out of her skin. Bro, when did you get here? You scared me half to death. Been here a while. Saw someone using your forging room and thought it was you. Turns out it's a young man. You must be clan. Keep forging, I'll watch. Maybe I can give you some pointers. The guild president himself was offering to watch me forge and give advice. Energy surged back into my exhausted arms. I turned back to the anvil and kept going. He watched in silence, and I could feel his eyes analyzing every single movement. As a master-level forge smith, he could obviously tell I was new to this. But he could also see something else, an instinct for forging that went beyond experience. Like I could feel the metal's nature without being taught. One more hour of grinding. My right hand was shaking uncontrollably now, but the blade was almost done. This was the worst possible moment to get careless. So I gritted my teeth through the pain and kept my strikes precise. The president noticed my condition, but instead of concern, I saw respect in his eyes. 16 years old, first time forging magic grade, pushing through physical limits without complaining. He couldn't understand how someone my age had this kind of grit. Then he figured it out, because I was 16. An older, more experienced forger would have stopped after the second fold and played it safe. Youth and recklessness had their advantages. Finally, quenching time. I pulled out the high-quality forging liquid I'd bought from the warehouse yesterday and poured it into the water basin. The liquid spread out in expanding rings, turning the entire pool a deep blue-purple. Electric arcs flickered beneath the surface. I held the blade over the water. Before it even touched, the surface started trembling from the heat alone. I lowered it in. White steam erupted. I watched the blade like a hawk, every nerve focused on what I was feeling through the tongs. Then, a spike of instinct. Something was wrong. I yanked the blade out immediately. If I'd left it in one more second, the blade would have cracked. I waited a few moments for the thermal shock to stabilize, then carefully lowered it back in. From his corner, the guild president's eyebrows went up. He knew exactly what had just happened. If I hadn't pulled the blade out at that exact moment, the entire forge would have been ruined. That kind of instinct, sensing the metal's breaking point through feel alone, was something most blacksmiths never developed in their entire careers. And I'd done it on my first magic grade attempt. A purple glow rippled across the entire blade. It was done. My first magic grade weapon. 3 refinements. Successfully forged. I attached the handle and picked it up. The feel was incredible. The moment my hand wrapped around the grip, the lightning magic in my body surged to life on its own. The amplification wasn't quite as strong as my current Flash Thunder sword, about 10% less. But the handling? Absolutely destroyed the Flash Thunder sword. No comparison. My hands for crafting sword grips were apparently blessed by some forge god. I decided right there, from now on, I'm only using weapons I forge myself. Unless I stumble across some legendary super weapon, everything else can take a seat. I'd swap to this new sword as my main and keep the Flash Thunder sword as a backup for when things got really nasty. I walked over to a wooden testing post covered in old slash marks. This is for testing swords, right? Cola nodded eagerly. Yep, go for it, I swung. The blade bit halfway through the post. Didn't cut all the way through, but the slash went way deeper than every other mark on that post. Cola looked like her soul was leaving her body. Those marks were all hers. And my casual first swing just made every single one of them look like scratches from a kitten. The president clapped gently. He could tell the sword's actual sharpness and durability were slightly below Cola's magic grade weapons. The deep cut was mostly because of my ridiculous strength. But he wasn't about to tell Cola that. She'd been slacking off lately, and a little humiliation was the perfect wake-up call. Then he turned to me and got serious. Clan, your forging talent is real. You're a natural-born blacksmith. But your strengths and weaknesses are equally obvious. Here it comes. The real feedback. There are no major problems with your technique. What's holding you back is what holds back every beginner. Lack of experience, insufficient strength, and poor control over the small details. You should learn a body tempering technique to fix the strength issue. I can also teach you a forging hammer technique, the star forging hammer method. Then he got into material selection. This was the gold. Your material choices were reasonable, but not optimal. You used Thunder Roar Stone as the main ore with 2 Earth Attribute ores and 1 regular iron ore. That's not wrong, but there's a better path. Since you already use earth powder for stabilization, you only needed one earth ore. The extra earth or suppressed your sword's lightning amplification. That's why the weapon feels sharp, but doesn't boost your element much. That explained everything. The extra earth materials plus all the reheating had dampened the lightning properties. Instead of that second earth, or you could use a gentle water attribute, or it would make the forging process smoother and produce a lighter final product. Every single word this man said hit a bullseye. Masterclass advice. Efficient, practical, zero fluff. I'll remember all of that, President. By the way, you wanted to see me tonight. Was there something specific? Yes. I discussed things with Gugon yesterday. We've decided to give you monthly resource support. He handed me a list. I read it, and my eyes nearly popped out. Black gold charcoal, 1,000 pounds. Attribute, or 100 pounds. High-quality iron, or 300 pounds. Advanced forging liquid, 5 bottles. Standard forging liquid, 50 bottles. 1,000 pounds of charcoal, 300 pounds of iron ore. Do they think I'm a machine? Actually, considering my forging speed, a month of going all out might actually burn through all of this. Maybe. Since your rank isn't very high yet, this will be your standard support until you become a full forge master. I'm very satisfied, President. Good. I've got nothing else tonight, so keep forging. I'll give you pointers as you go. And here, he pulled out a book. This is the Star Forging Hammer Method, my family's ancestral hammer technique. Study it, and ask me or Kola if anything's unclear. He was giving me his family's ancestral technique? I opened my mouth to accept, but there's a condition. I paused. What condition, President? It's simple. This technique is our family's ancestral secret. Only family members can learn it. A man like you will obviously have more than one wife in the future. I'm not even asking to be your primary marriage partner. So how about a marriage alliance with our family? I blinked. Did not see that coming. But after thinking about it for a few seconds, it actually made sense. Love isn't a necessity for me. In this world, marriage alliances and mutual benefit are the most stable foundations for any relationship. Right now, I couldn't offer the president much in terms of power or resources, so a marriage tie was actually the next best thing. And let's be real, with his status, marrying into MY family was a downgrade for him. He wasn't doing this for what I am now. He was investing in what I'd become. Cola's face turned bright red the second she heard. Marriage alliance. BRO, what are you saying? The president didn't even blink. Relax. It's probably not you. You're too old. You think he'd be interested? Kola snapped. She drove her elbow straight into his kidney. But this man's body had been forged by years of hammering. Literally a body of steel. He didn't even flinch. Seeing her attack do absolutely nothing, Kola looked like she was about to explode. Then the president casually bonked her on the head like a lion disciplining its cub. Dunk. Kola crouched on the ground holding her head, crying. From the sound alone, that was a quality skull. Sorry about that, clan. She's been like this since childhood. Just a little discipline. Sure, I nodded. Not convincingly. So, my proposal, can you accept? I can. But I have one question. What would I need to give up for this alliance? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We just want the connection and a good relationship with you. Any children would take your surname. No restrictions on your freedom whatsoever. That sealed it. The president's family was genuinely a great alliance partner. All benefit, no strings. Then I accept. Excellent. Here's the technique manual. Study it well. I will, President. I checked my hammer technique talent. 6 points. Not bad at all. Only a bit lower than my sword talent. If this manual wasn't too complicated, I should pick it up fast. The president started teaching me on the spot. Whenever I got stuck, he corrected me immediately. The Star Forging Hammer method wasn't as complex as I'd feared. The core concept was using special breathing patterns and specific techniques to generate force through momentum. You ride the inertia of each swing into the next, saving massive amounts of stamina while dramatically increasing speed. The trade-off? Using inertia makes it incredibly hard to control your force precisely, and it's easy to injure yourself if you lose focus. Clear strengths, clear weaknesses. My kind of technique. Within minutes, I found the rhythm. My diamond hammer came down on a practice, and produced a deep, resonant THOM that was completely different from before. Cola's head snapped up. Wait, that sound. She knew that sound. It was the signature ring of their family's hammer technique. She listened to the second strike. Same sound. He already got it? It's been like 10 minutes. Every single swing after that produced the same sound. Consistent. Controlled. Like I'd been doing it for weeks. Even the president's expression changed. He'd been fast too when he first learned, about the same time as me. But after his first success, it took him a full week to stabilize the technique. I was stable from the second swing onward. That's my biggest advantage. Once I succeed at something even once, my body memorizes the exact feeling. After that, I can replicate it almost every time. It's like my muscles have photographic memory. I didn't push for speed though. This technique could hurt me badly if I got careless. Steady and safe for now. The president coached me until midnight. After that, he had business to handle and would be away from the guild for a while. But I'd already gotten more than enough to work with. Half a month flew by. In those 15 days, my stats exploded. The lightning talent boost had accelerated my thunder attraction technique training, which in turn accelerated everything else. Including stat point gains, my total growth over the half month was sword talent 1, strength 10, agility 6, constitution 6, spirit 7. My sword and hammer technique levels didn't rank up, but all that daily forging had pumped my strength through the roof. I actually looked noticeably more muscular now. Current stats: strength 61, agility 51, constitution 54, spirit 47. My charisma hit 80. Apparently living well and eating right made me more handsome by the day, and my lifespan had climbed to 89 years. At this rate, immortality wasn't out of the question. As for forging, the progress was massive. With the star forging hammer method fully in my toolkit, I could now produce 5-fold refined magic-grade weapons. Not every attempt succeeded, but even attempting it at my age was insane. Saga came to invite me on another mission today. I had to turn her down. Why not, clan? We finally found a good one for our level. I've got the blacksmith tournament in 2 weeks. Every single day matters right now. I can't afford to lose any training time. She looked a little disappointed, but she understood. Apparently she and the others had already heard about the super genius at the blacksmith guild. When they found out it was me, their reactions were complicated. Like they were happy for me, but also realizing the gap between us was getting wider every day. Okay then. Good luck, clan. We'll come watch the tournament. I nodded and headed toward the guild. Behind me, Saga, Winnie, and Gato had a little team meeting. Gato broke the silence first. Should we pick side professions too? They'd all tried before and given up. Saga's brain couldn't handle studying a profession and training at the same time. Winnie had the same problem. Gato was too obsessed with combat to bother. So all three had decided to be pure fighters. Then MY news dropped, and suddenly they realized how far behind they were falling. The resources, the connections, the opportunities. My side profession had put me in a completely different world from theirs. Gato decided to become a blacksmith too. His weapon master talent let him learn any weapon quickly, so maybe hammers would click fast. Actually, not a bad theory. Winnie chose to become a formation master. Her talent combined with arrays could produce devastating combat power. Saga couldn't decide. She hated studying new things. Eventually, she picked blacksmithing too, mostly because, well, she might get to see me more often at the guild. I had no idea my friends were making life decisions because of me. I was too busy walking to the guild. Then I saw who was standing at the entrance, and every muscle in my face tightened. Shengxin, the Holy Maiden. The first person to genuinely disgust me since arriving at King's Academy. She noticed me and froze for a second. I'd changed a lot since our last fight. Taller, more muscular, sharper features. But whatever impression my looks made, it was immediately buried under the memory of me beating her face in. Hey, you there? The blacksmith boy. Make me a sword. If it's good enough, I'll reward you generously. If it's garbage, don't blame me for making your life difficult. Ha ha. She was talking about me. Right to my face. Calling me, the blacksmith boy, like I was her personal servant. I didn't respond. Didn't even look at her. Just walked right past like she was a lamppost. One day I'm going to beat this woman so hard I could feel her rage building behind me. She was about to lose it. Holy Maiden, please remember the Pope's instructions. Her attendant's quiet reminder stopped her cold. Apparently 10 days ago, the Pope had specifically warned her. Clan was now an officially recognized talent within the church. If she harassed me again, she would be punished. Even being the Holy Maiden wouldn't save her. The thought of church punishments made her shudder. Some of her hatred toward me actually faded, replaced by fear of consequences. But she couldn't just leave without getting the last word. What's with that attitude? You won't even take my business? Are all the blacksmiths in this guild this arrogant? People started gathering. When they realized who was being harassed, me, the guild's prized genius, they got fired up. Who does this girl think she is? Then they noticed her badges. 2 of them, Marquis rank, and the Holy Maiden insignia. Every single person who'd been ready to defend me immediately went quiet. A Marquis-level Holy Maiden picking a fight with their prodigy? What were they supposed to do? Then Kola walked out. I could see the fear on her face, but she stepped up anyway. Holy Maiden, what an honor to have you visit our guild. If you'd like one of Clan's weapons, we have plenty in stock. He's quite busy at the moment, so perhaps you could browse our selection instead. Smooth, diplomatic, brave, good sister, Kola. But I couldn't let her take the heat for me. Before I could move, though, Xingxin turned her ice-cold eyes on Kola. Who do you think you are? Did I ask you? I was talking to Clan, not some nobody. Get out of my face before I make you regret opening your mouth. Don't go thinking you're somebody important. Kola's fists were clenched so tight her knuckles turned white. She wanted to slap Xingxin across the face so bad, but she held back. Even though her brother was the guild president, that meant nothing against the Holy Maiden. Xingxin had an S-rank talent. In a few years, she'd be unstoppable. If Kola made an enemy of her now, it wouldn't just be Kola who suffered. Her brother and their entire family would get dragged down too. So Kola swallowed her pride. For once, the girl who was afraid of nothing chose to stay quiet. That's when I opened my mouth. Are you done? Did you eat actual crap for breakfast and forget to brush your teeth? Because your mouth smells like a sewer. So what if you're the Holy Maiden? The church having someone like you as their saint is a national tragedy. Keep running that mouth and I swear I'll put you in the ground. Dead silence. Every single person in the vicinity froze like someone had hit the pause button on reality. Then the horror set in. Eyes went wide. Jaws dropped. Someone might have actually stopped breathing. Kola tried to jump in and apologize on my behalf, but I cut her off immediately. Stay out of this. This is between me and her. My voice was harsh, but Kola understood. I wasn't being rude to her. I was making sure she wouldn't get caught in the crossfire. This was my mess. My fight. She didn't need to go down with me. She wanted to argue, but I shot her a look that shut it down. She stepped back, guilt written all over her face. But honestly, she'd already shown more courage than anyone else here by stepping up in the first place. I wasn't about to blame her for anything. Xingxin, meanwhile, was having a full system error. Did he just say I ate? What? The content was so explosively disrespectful that her brain needed a few seconds to fully process it. Then the rage hit. She lunged at me without even activating Angel's soul. Pure, blind fury. No technique. No planning. Just hands. My lips curled into a small smile. Same as before. Impulsive. Hot-headed. She hadn't learned a thing. She was faster than last time. I'll give her that. Real improvement. But I'd improved too. And she was still treating me like the old Clan. Big mistake. Since you threw the first punch, whatever happens next is self-defense. The Pope can't say a word about it. Somewhere between her palm heading for my face and my hand drawing a sword, time seemed to slow down. Her slap connected, cracked across my cheek pretty good. But at the exact same moment, my blade sank into her abdomen. Everyone saw it clearly. SHE attacked first. I just defended myself. Lightning surged through the blade. The wound turned charred black instantly. The pain hit Xingxin so hard, she couldn't even scream. She collapsed to the ground and started convulsing as my electricity tore through her system. Holy Maiden, her attendant rushed forward in a panic. I pulled the blade out. I'd held back. This would hurt her badly but wouldn't kill her. Calculated. Precise. Relax. She'll live. Just a wound. Consider it a warning. Next time she comes looking for trouble, I won't hold back. We'll go down together if that's what it takes. The killing intent in my eyes was so thick you could practically touch it. I wanted to chop this woman into pieces. But the consequences of actually doing it were too severe. What I'd already done was pushing it as it was. I also knew the Pope's game. He wanted me to keep pressuring Xingxin. So while this was aggressive, it shouldn't be life-threatening for me either. You. Xingxin tried to speak, but coughed up a mouthful of blood. She wanted to get up and fight back, but the abdominal wound was too agonizing. She couldn't even stand. Holy Maiden, please stop talking. We need to get you treated immediately. Her attendants carried her away. I watched them leave with ice in my eyes. I meant what I said earlier. The church having this woman as their future leader was genuinely concerning. She had the most broken starting hand imaginable. S-rank talent, Pope's backing, unlimited resources. All she had to do was follow the path laid out for her, and she'd become one of the strongest beings alive. Instead, she ran around picking fights and making enemies like it was a hobby. This was not how a Pope's successor should behave. Then a thought crossed my mind. What if this was a side effect of her S-rank talent? Saga mentioned that her wing person talent caused mental issues, obsessive fixation. What if Angel's soul had a psychological side effect too? Something that made Xingxin this arrogant and reckless? But I shook that thought off. Not my problem. Her mental health was someone else's department. I didn't continue with today's forging. After stabbing the Holy Maiden in front of 50 witnesses, the church was definitely going to send someone. So I sat down in the guild's main hall and waited. The other blacksmiths saw me sitting there and started quietly clearing out. Nobody wanted to be near me when the hammer dropped. Can't blame them. Kola sat down across from me. Clan, you just made a huge mistake. That was the Holy Maiden. It'll be fine, Kola. The Pope won't do anything serious to me. How can you be so sure about that? I didn't say he wouldn't punish me. I said he won't do anything serious. Kola looked like she was about to explode. Do you even understand what you just did? Right as I was about to give her a reassuring answer, church enforcers walked through the door. Who is Clan? Almost the exact same scene as last time. I stood up like a professional. Right here. I'll come with you. Then I recognized the lead officer and paused. Wait, aren't you the same guy who arrested me last time? The officer, Jacquier, stared at me. My completely unbothered attitude left him genuinely speechless. What was this kid? Last time at least made sense. The Holy Maiden picked the fight, and he fought back. But this time, the officer looked at me like I was an alien. Here I was, not a scratch on me, while the Holy Maiden was being carried away with a hole in her stomach. This kid had a death wish. Tie him up. Relax, I said calmly. I didn't run last time. I won't run this time. I'll walk myself. And I just started walking toward the church. The officers stood there confused for a second, then scrambled to catch up. From a distance, it probably looked like I was the VIP and they were my security detail. The lead officer didn't dare rough me up, though. Last time I walked into the Pope's office in chains and walked out with rewards. This kid clearly had something going on behind the scenes. We arrived at the Pope's palace. Looking up at this magnificent building, I had this weird feeling I'd be visiting a lot more often. But probably no gift bags this time. They marched me inside. Your Holiness, Clan is here. This time was very different from last time. The Pope's face looked like a thundercloud. Even standing at the bottom of the steps, I could feel his fury pressing down on me like a physical weight. Though I did wonder how much of it was acting. You still remember I'm the Pope? Do you have any respect for the church? Tell me what you did to the Holy Maiden. The Holy Maiden came to the Blacksmith Guild to harass me and get revenge for last time. She also threatened someone close to me. I acted in the heat of the moment to protect them. The Pope almost laughed from sheer disbelief. Oh, so you're the victim here. That's not inaccurate. If I hadn't acted first, it'd be me and my people lying on the ground right now. Hurting the Holy Maiden was my only option. My words were polite. My tone was polite. But the content was basically saying, this is entirely her fault, and we both know it. I could feel the Pope getting more annoyed by the second. This brat had figured out the game. He knew the Pope was using him to motivate Xingxin. That's why he had the guts to pull something this extreme. So you think you did nothing wrong? No, Your Holiness. I know I made a serious mistake, but I had no choice. If I backed down this time, it would be endless humiliation from here on out. You know how the Holy Maiden's personality works. The Pope's anger cooled slightly. Now he was certain I'd figured out his scheme. Smart kid. If only Xingxin had half this brain, he wouldn't need to play these games at all. But a Pope could never admit to such a thing. Clan, I had such high hopes for you. But after what you've done, if I don't punish you, how will anyone take me seriously? I understood immediately. He needed to save face. The church's authority couldn't be challenged publicly. What he wanted was simple. I publicly apologize. He gives me a token punishment, and everyone sees the Pope being fair and just. But I had a better idea. Your Holiness, I have a proposal. Oh? Let's hear it. In 2 weeks, I'm competing in the blacksmith tournament. I'll win the Youth Division Championship. The Pope raised an eyebrow, starting to see where I was going. After that, I'll enter the freshman combat tournament in 2 months. I'll win that too. If I demonstrate enough talent to the outside world, people will start seeing me as someone on par with the Holy Maiden. Once we're viewed as equals, today's incident becomes nothing more than a rivalry between two geniuses. The Pope stared at me. Then something flickered across his face. Amusement? Disbelief? This kid had confidence coming out of his ERS. 2 championships? Just like that? He clearly thought I was getting too cocky. Time for a reality check. The Pope's aura exploded. The entire palace shook. A wave of pressure crashed down on me so hard that the guards outside the building dropped to their knees instinctively. I stayed standing. My body was trembling. My bones were creaking, but my legs held. My spine stayed straight. The Pope was surprised. At my level, I should have been forced to my knees instantly. But here I was, still upright. He pushed harder, curious about where my limit was. My skeleton felt like it was going to shatter. Every joint screamed. The pressure was like being crushed by an invisible mountain. I roared. Lightning erupted across my entire body. Lightning body activated at full power, flooding my muscles with energy, pushing my physical stats to their absolute peak. The Pope pushed harder. My magic started draining at insane speed, but my control over the thunder attraction technique was skyrocketing under the pressure. A breakthrough I'd achieved recently was now stabilizing at record speed. My body was being forged by this aura, the same way I forged metal. But the pressure was still growing faster than I could adapt. Blood started seeping from my pores. Tiny red droplets covering my skin. My body felt like a balloon about to pop.